Welcome to this explainer. If you're coming from a traditional finance background, a lot of the baseline mechanics of digital assets, like buy, sell, hold, probably feel pretty familiar. But underneath that surface, the structural plumbing is an entirely different universe. Today, we're taking a high-level look at how this ecosystem actually operates. We're going to track the whole progression, all the way from the raw, fundamental definitions of the assets themselves, right down to the precise millisecond by millisecond execution of a retail trade.
Which brings us to a deceptively simple question. Think about it. When you open up your go-to fintech app, pick an asset, and tap that brightly colored buy button on your screen, do you actually know what happens next? I mean, most of us just see a loading spinner for a split second and then magically our balance updates. But underneath that glass screen, you are triggering a massive, highly orchestrated symphony of hidden infrastructure. It's this fascinating, invisible world of APIs, dynamic routing, and instant ledger updates. By the end of our time together today, you're going to see exactly how that magic trick is pulled off.
To get there, here's our game plan. First, we'll decode the digital asset vocabulary. Second, we'll uncover the hidden infrastructure behind trades. And third, we'll map out the complete lifecycle of a single trade.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Decoding Digital Asset Vocabulary. We absolutely have to separate three frequently mixed up terms that actually operate on completely different technology layers.
First up, we have the coin. Think of this as the native protocol layer. A coin is the native cryptocurrency of an independent, standalone blockchain network. In terms of the actual plumbing, it operates on its own proprietary ledger. It's hard-coded right into the protocol itself. And why? Well, because it serves a vital functional purpose. It's used to pay for transaction fees, what we often call gas, and it provides the economic incentive that actually secures the network. It's literally the electricity powering the city. So when we talk about Bitcoin, Ether, or Solana, we are talking about native coins. They are the foundational base layer. Now, a token, on the other hand, sits one floor up at the application layer. It doesn't have its own underlying blockchain. Instead, it's built on top of an existing one using smart contracts. Basically, it just leverages another network's already established security infrastructure. Assets like Arbitrum or Lido DAO, they don't build their own roads. They're just riding on Ethereum's existing highways. This layer also includes stablecoins like USDC. These are digital tokens built on networks like Ethereum or Solana, but they're economically pegged and backed one-to-one by actual physical US dollars. Finally, we reach tokenization. This is the Real World Asset Layer, or RWA. Tokenization is the process of taking a traditional real-world asset, like a piece of real estate, an ounce of gold, or a stock, and creating a digital token on a blockchain that legally or economically mirrors it. The infrastructure here literally links regulated broker-dealers straight to the blockchain. Imagine an investor wants to buy a tokenized share of Apple. Behind the scenes, a regulated clearing broker actually locks that physical traditional Apple share in a highly secure vault. Simultaneously, a matching digital token is minted on the blockchain, directly representing that vaulted asset.
And this brilliantly illustrates our three distinct layers. We've got the coin at the foundational native protocol layer, like Bitcoin. The token sitting right above that at the application layer, like Arbitrum, and the tokenized asset bridging the physical and digital divide at the real-world asset layer, like our tokenized Apple share. Keeping these three lanes distinct in your mind is absolutely crucial as we move forward to inspect the plumbing operating beneath them all.
Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden infrastructure behind trades. Because modern investing platforms don't usually build crypto exchanges from scratch. Instead, they plug into embedded finance APIs.
Yeah, platforms usually just plug into embedded finance infrastructure APIs, using providers like Alpaca. And honestly, the sheer complexity of what that API backend engine manages at the exact same time is staggering. On one side, for purely digital cryptocurrencies, it's maintaining 24/7 direct liquidity routing, handling complex cold wallet custody, and doing constant compliance reviews. But on that exact same engine, it's also bridging the traditional world of tokenized equity. It's orchestrating token creation and redemption against physical, brokerage-held shares to make sure those fractional tokenized assets move with zero settlement delays. It's this massive, real-time technical balancing act, handling two entirely different asset behaviors perfectly. So how does that look in practice? Let's get into Section 3, the life cycle of a trade. We're going to zoom all the way in from the macro architecture and watch a single drop of water flow through these pipes. Let's track a simple $100 retail market order for a digital asset. Phase 1 is onboarding and funding. The very moment a user signs up on that sleek app, the underlying infrastructure fires off complex KYC, or Know Your Customer, and anti-money laundering background identity checks. Once verified, the user is placed into an account structure. This is very commonly an automated omnibus sub-accounting ledger. Now think of this omnibus ledger as a giant, highly organized master umbrella. It pools all the app's assets together for efficiency while keeping mathematically perfect digital records of every single individual user's balance underneath it. Finally, the user deposits their fiat currency, and the system instantly registers that as liquid buying power ready to go. Let's move to and see how this builds in Phase 2. Execution. The user taps buy for $100 of Arbitrum. Instantly, the retail app translates that physical screen tap into a dense API order payload. The backend engine catches it, dynamically routes it for the absolute best liquidity across its network, applies the platform's custom fee configuration, and flawlessly fills the order. And the craziest part about all of this? While traditional stock settlement can take days to finalize, this entire sequence, from the physical screen tap to the dense API payload, right down to the final market match and execution, happens in a matter of milliseconds, literally the blink of an eye.
Which brings us to Phase 3, holding in the portfolio. Once that trade is confirmed, the system basically enters a split reality of post-trade processing. On the front end, the app experience remains beautifully light and simple. The user just gets a clean UI dashboard displaying their fractionally precise digital assets right alongside some fun real-time profit and loss tracking. But on the back end, heavy structural work is happening constantly. The underlying custodian actively updates its internal ledger. Digital assets are securely journaled into the appropriate vault. The system continuously generates strict audit trails and maintains rigorous regulatory compliance behind the scenes. All of that heavy lifting guarantees that the clean front-end experience stays safe, legal, and fully backed.
And that, my friends, is the true life cycle of a digital asset trade. We've gone from the core definitions separating coins, tokens, and tokenization, right through the heavy institutional infrastructure bridging traditional and decentralized finance, all the way down to the millisecond journey of a single retail order. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Next time you pull out your smartphone, load up your portfolio, and hit buy, will you just see a simple app, or will you finally see the architecture? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring the hidden plumbing of finance, and I'll see you next time.